Liebe Zuschauer, herzlich willkommen vom Parkett der New York Stock Exchange zu Inside Wall Street. Ich bin Manuel Koch und bei mir ist Warren Meyers of DME Securities. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, glad to be here.
Warren, last week was an exciting week. We still see the problems going on in Washington. Democrats and Republicans are, I think, not really talking to each other, and we see the budget talks. So is this the key moment at the moment for the markets?
Well, I think, with the partial shutdown, what that's created is more just nasty rhetoric coming out of Washington, which doesn't do anybody any good. It doesn't help the public. It certainly doesn't help the marketplace. But I think at the end of the day, most people assume that we're going to come to some agreement there. I think the more looming and more important issue is the debt ceiling issue that's going to be coming up over the next 2 weeks. And I think because of the importance of that, neither Democrats or Republicans really want to give in on this partial shutdown yet. So I think it's all going to come to a head as we get closer and closer to that debt ceiling date in a couple of weeks. And so I think we're in this period of a lot of rhetoric without really much being accomplished, and it's going to be this way for probably the next few weeks.
The date is October 17th, so do you expect really that they are talking until the last minute, second maybe?
I think they're going to push it pretty close. I'm optimistic, or at least maybe foolishly optimistic, that I think there's going to be enough public pressure finally affecting Congress and everyone to say, you know what, let's try and settle this not go up to the 11th hour, but a little bit before. So it wouldn't surprise me if a day or two before that deadline they come to some agreement, but I don't think they're going to do anything much sooner than that. So we've got almost 2 weeks here of uncertainty and more volatility.
We already hear from some companies which are working together with the U.S. government or U.S. military that they have to send some of their employees home. Do you feel something like this here on Wall Street? Do you feel the shutdown here?
Yes and no. I mean, it doesn't hit us directly like it may in Washington and in areas where the government operations are a big portion of their economy. But yes, I mean, you feel sorry and you understand what's going on. And the longer that this goes, obviously, the wider and wider that ripple effect has, and it will affect ultimately the entire country if they don't resolve this in a timely fashion. I think a week or two probably won't would be soon enough before that effect is felt across the country. But any longer than that, and I think we have a problem.
We already saw the 15,000 points. We lost this important border. But when we see the next 2 weeks, can we go lower and lower and lower because of this uncertainty?
The one optimistic thing I'll point out is the fact that when we led into this partial shutdown, and then now that we're into it now, one might think the market would just sell off strong and be down big almost every day until the resolution comes. And that's not quite what happened. As a matter of fact, the day that it happened, when the market was up, we've been down a couple of subsequent days, but not terrible. And so that leads me to believe that there's still underlying strength in this marketplace, at least here in the United States. I think that with the Fed's activities, the way they've been supporting this market, and it looks like they'll continue, especially with this government, all the government issues going on, that I think that's putting a floor in this market and keeping it from going down. So yes, can we go lower? Yes, but is it going to be a massive sell-off? I don't envision that at all.
This week we will also see the Fed again on Wednesday. They will come out with maybe some more news. Do you expect anything?
I'm expecting exactly what they've finally said clearly over the last couple of months, and that is they're data-driven. They're going to make every decision that they're going to make is going to be based on that decision. And if they announce that they're going to start to taper, again, since it's data-driven, one might look at that as a very positive, saying the data is telling the Fed that this economy is strong enough to withstand that. I don't think we're quite there yet. I don't think we're going to get that taper until sometime next year. But if it's between now and the beginning of next year, I wouldn't be shocked. And I think it might ultimately be a positive. But we'll see. I don't see much anything different than the status quo coming out of them next week.
My feeling is that the economic data of the last weeks aren't that strong.
No, they're not. They're moderately, they're okay. They're marginally okay. Nothing much beyond that. And so I don't think that gives the Fed enough impetus to start tapering. I think we'd all love to see tremendous economic data and have the Fed be able to taper and know that they can do it safely. We're not there yet, at least in my opinion. I think that's going to be the Fed's opinion as well. So that's why I think we're going to be status quo with them probably into the beginning of next year.
On Tuesday, we will see the earnings of Alcoa, so officially the earnings season begins. Any expectations?
Again, I think there's weak expectations and lowered expectations, much like we saw this past quarter. I'm expecting that's kind of the view going in. So the bar's being dropped and lowered a little bit now, much like it was last quarter. Last quarter, I think, ultimately was okay. Not as bad as a lot of people had warned, and I think you're going to see the same thing here with that bar lowered a little bit. I think you're going to meet and exceed expectations, probably around the regular percentage of around 70-75%, and if we come into those levels, it'll be decent again, but not tremendous.
So when we are here next Friday, are the markets up or down?
You always ask me that tough one. I would say we'll probably be very close to where we are now, but if you ask me in maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks, once we get past the debt ceiling deadline and that's resolved, I think we finish the end of the year up strong. So I'll say status quo till next Friday, but I think I'm looking for a positive into the end of the year.
Warren Meyers of DME Securities. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Und Ihnen, liebe Zuschauer, danke fürs Zuschauen. Bis bald hier vom Parkett der New York Stock Exchange.